Chapter 14. Toulouse, 8th of March, present day. More inclined to pull out my own incisors with needle-nose pliers than decipher Frank's bullshit twice in one day. We parked the Alpine and cut southward down the Avenue Honoré Sarres towards Place Arnold Bernard. The square is bustling, a last bastion against gentrification as it pushes the poor and paperless further out into the banlieues. A group of 4 Algerians, balanced on that tipping point of late middle age before the scales pull downwards, drink Turkish coffee on the terrace of a small cafe cum kebab shop and argue about the weekend's football game. The area still throngs with a lively community of immigrants and independent businesses, veined with stalwarts who love the vibrant quarter and refuse to ever leave. It extends only a couple of winding blocks in any direction and quickly cedes southward to the gentle encroachment of bourgeois wine bars and haute cuisine burgers. The place still stands as a living monument to inner city inclusion. It isn't the safest part of Toulouse for many, but for the sort I'm seeking, they'll feel more protected resting here than almost anywhere else. All the unwanted and unloved are still welcome here. Balancing on the edge of the low wall surrounding the underground car park entrance dominating the open space is a man with trembling digits struggling with a cigarette paper. His bedraggled facial hair is more the colour of coffee crema than its original white, stained by nicotine and a lifetime in doorways. Each tucked line of skin forming the origami of his face is indented by a moment of suffering, carving him like a withered pumpkin. Grime accrued from a life beyond hard has muted his clothes, once nondescript frippery, the riotous clash of colours obscured by dirt and stains. I draw in a little talent, ready to contact Frank, but he beats me to the draw. The old man's eyes snap up, their radiant albumen, the first time they've likely brightened in a long time. Frank's unearthly grimace bullies aside the weighty folds of the man's wrinkles.
A swifting of your moments, if it does you please, my little lordling. I'd be wanting to partakery in the wagging of chins to summarise our understandings under the skies that darken over her. And of course all tideries and trillings to you, Lady of the Blade.
He taps his bow at Aisha, who deliberately turns her head aside and spits. Doesn't seem to bother the bastard, but she's making herself clear. The old man is lower than me, so I crouch, positioning myself at the same height as the skin Frank's currently wearing. Great minds think alike, Frank. I was just looking for you. Smile that spreads across the old man's face could hang around in dream bars, scaring the shit out of nightmares. Still, there is something else there too. Another emotion in his expression. If I didn't know better, I'd say I could see fear in Frank's pupilless eyes.
Greatly indeed, little one. More of likenesses and mirrorings than many might gloat in that glimmer, is there not?
My face sets into a granite block, distaste carved in by a master sculptor. We're at peace, but we are not the same, Frank. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, indeed, carrion wearer. Is that the truth the crow does core into the one-eyed ear? Certitude so strongly in and outed, weavings not wavering, though dead and deadly every time. No mattering, let your truth be your mohair-wearing plaything that sees you through your own darkling schemings. No kin reclaimed, no insult offered by the ghastly brute daring in his sporting of another's flesh. Rest eased in our divisive and dividedness, my good man. My patience is wearing out quicker than cheap shoes on a forced march. Enough pleasantries, Frank. What have you found out? The joviality and banter disappear
and the furious anger, tinged with whatever it is I saw in him earlier, comes to the surface. The monster peers from that face directly into mine.
Some conferencing have I done, demanded they perform the Coranto quick step 1-2-1-2 to meet with old Frank for my accessory of their states and statementing.
It is his turn to display distaste, bug-mouthed and puckered.
There was woven filthy grimmery glamour upon their hides, a hiding all luminescent and inscribed with the tracery of the hallowed and haloed. Nauseous it made poor eye with its stenches. To hide the truth from the eyes of my own brought out such feelings as would have made the up-puffed dovey croak when I did munch upon his holy bones.
Frank's tenses are a mess at the best of time. I scratch my head. Are you saying you caught the one who did it? And ate him? Frank guffaws, a reverberating belly laugh that echoes round the square, bringing looks, although our natural glamours keep our uncanny natures concealed. He paws at the face he wears lovingly while he speaks, his gaze almost ecstatic. It turns my stomach.
Oh, my little lordling, so honouring in your confidence in I, to think that after such confrontery you find me in my reposings all la-di-da and thankee kindly. No, find his radiancy I could not, only his sickening traces upon my pretty boys and girls I'd sent to looking and a seeing. Killed them he did, and making them with magicry and murderings he left them, just outside your precious boundarings, all protections promised, sliced and severed without my knowing.
My stomach feels hollow, gripped with dread. Frank connects himself to his people. It shouldn't have been possible to hurt them without him realizing. He carries on.
Notes was left, all scritched and scratchings onto their poor hidery, skin-cut letterings. 'Twas a payment for my observings of his little wizardling, and for my words given back to you.
I don't need more details. Cutting, threatening notes into the murdered corpses of young men and women matches perfectly with the impression I've gathered of the sick bastard so far. I'm on it, Frank. I'm gonna find him and make him pay for what he's done. He sneers, a lip corner lifting unnaturally on the decrepit face, pulling the whole right side up almost to below the eye. His self-control is slipping, and he is manifesting more fully.
All pretty wordlings, as pretty as the bright one's feathers, no doubt. No help, though, to my lovelies, is it? No safeties or securings to them as they tiptoe through darkened streets upon my oath. So, 'tis the last conversary we'll be making, until you does your duties and jewelings a stopping the brightling bastard quick sharp in his steps.
I narrow my eyes at him.
You're pulling back? Not prepared to help me any further? That was never part of the deal, Frank. Our agreement has always been information in exchange for peace.
He hisses at me like a cornered snake coiled and ready to strike. I wonder for a moment if he is about to lunge at me.
Our deal was protectoring of me and mine own, for my truther is told all my lovely lads and lasses do count in that bargaining struck Longback, and that puffery dove, or the Jessie's holding falconer, has been amongst my flockings like sharp-teethed wolves. And 'tis me and mine own does pay the pricing, is it not?
Feeling him pulling back, about to leave, I step forward, urgency in my voice.
Wait, Frank! I have a potential lead, but I'll need some information out of you to make anything of it. Where were you before Toulouse, Frank?
He stays, which is something, though the hobo's borrowed eyes narrow sharply.
Well now, my boyo, such a seekings you have never been before after makes my scales all prickery with suffings, it does, that quizzing questionary with ne'er a why wherefore.
I harden my stance. Look, Frank, someone is threatening both our people and killing yours. This might give us a chance to keep them all safe. I'm telling you the information is relevant, or is my oath of lesser worth than yours, Frank? He spreads his hands, a placating gesture undermined by his expression. No effrontery I offer against your goodly form, little lordling. No, no. Our bond is a tethering I honour, all moments and manner aside. Up I came, first having come down, then followed current's pools towards the tastiness, spread out upon the banqueting pit crunch of many and all. No time for riddles. Up and down and currents. You follow the Garonne? From the mountains or from Bordeaux? He hisses at the mention of Bordeaux. Never the seaward sides, goodly man, no. The sistren clink their cauldrons there, and no love have they for my vessels, no stormy port for the likes of I. No, up was where I came from, once down from companies amongst the airy neighbours, following the trickling torrentings till they became all almighty, joining one to another. Long I was simply taking my opportunities willy-nilly at their juncture till your sufficient partings made entry under the weavings long left by your comings a possibility for tastings of the buffet of buffoonery, such gatherings to give in our fine residence of now and then. I pull out my phone and study maps of the Garonne's path. Rivers and tributaries combine at various points, but the first major one after the descent out of the Pyrenees is at Montrejau, where the Nest joins it. When did you come down from the mountains? Immemoriality in momentaries, my fine one, long before, early enough that I was witness to the bounties of the culling of the pesky strollabouts by the pestilent, when the leech and bone saw wielders' buildings was packed sawdust to ceiling. I filled my gullet with its miserable delights for many a day, did I not? I think about this. The biggest outbreak of the plague was at the start of the 16th century, finishing before the soldiers passed through Occitanie. The question now is their final destination. If they were aiming for Barcelona or Girona or any of the southern coast, then they would have probably passed either by Foix or else Narbonne and Perpignan, far from Frank's observation. If they headed to Bilbao or Zaragoza or even Madrid, with a bit of luck, they might have crossed his path. Whether he noticed or cared is a different matter entirely. After the plague, did you notice a group of Spanish soldiers heading towards the route back to Spain? Did I notice, swordlings? During the plague-gone days, little princeling, when foodstuffs untended went to blight and ruin, and the streets were emptied, excepting ringings of metal for the treasure-laden and grain-slicering tools reused by those who balanced on the rung slip to my domainery and services. Like noticing the clouds when the fork light does its soil tastery all around you. Hard are the oblivious to be, no? I click my tongue in frustration. His answer is as justified as it is unhelpful. These particular soldiers might have had a few German speakers in their ranks. They carried a relic believed to cure illnesses, amongst other powers. Frank begins what sounds like a gulping cluck. It makes me think of a serpent choking back a rodent down its dark gullet. It takes me some time to realise it is Frank's version of genuine, uncontrolled chuckling. The freaky bastard. Oh, my lucky little one, chancy are your askings today. Lady blessed your questionings are in their twistings. Oh, yes, I have giftings to give of them that are your wantery, my little doubtling. All answerings and revealings that might yet give you pointeries and directions. Those plated fishes came a-dipping through my lakes and rivers, all broad of boastings, all prancing horseback. They'd been pocket-lining with their magicry all through their traipsings, all healed up healthy-like. Peacock struttery was their ways of bobbing down the paths, but no gifts for my sparse underlings when hands was outstretching suppliants upon my oath.
So I sent them giftings, unasked, with a bitter biting sting. Sweetmeats of musings did my little ones drip drop into their lugholes, hidden treasures of Castilian origins long lost, awaiting the clamouring claimings of such noble lordlings as themselves below the barrow walls under hill. I pass his words through the frank filter I've developed over a couple of 100 years. Eventually, the penny dropped. I groan when I work out where he sent them and why no one has heard from them since. No one ever comes back from hunting in the tunnels under that village. You sent them off to Hastings, didn't you? You sent them to Lou. Impossibly. The vividly disturbing, lip-spread smile vivisecting the old man's head seems to widen further. I did, my little lordling. I did indeed, did I not?